so we are really grateful to have everybody here. My name is Alex Manson, and on behalf of our host, we are very excited to bring you this show right here in the heart of Charlottesville. We would like to thank Star Hill Brewery for offering this space for us tonight. If you are just learning about Hooswhere, this is a podcast hosted by UVA alumni that highlights individuals of the UVA community, including alumni, students, and other individuals that are doing big and exciting things in their communities and careers. We are a podcast that hopes to build the UVA alumni network through community, through networking, content, and events such as this. At this time, I'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight's event. First, I'd like to introduce Full Strength Physical Therapy. Full Strength Physical Therapy helps athletes and active individuals get out of pain and back to higher performance. It's frustrating giving up what you love because of pain. Full Strength Physical Therapy helps you give you your active lifestyle back by eliminating pain no matter how hard you go. They give you the tools, knowledge, and attention you deserve with exclusive one-on-one sessions with your doctor with highly individualized plans to get you back to doing what you love. To learn more, you can follow Whole Strength Physical Therapy on Instagram at wholestrength_PT or visit wholestrengthphysicaltherapy.com. Dr. Alan Barb is here tonight if you would like to connect, and we also have a QR code that we'll put out for everybody after the show if you would like to enter for a free session giveaway. I will say I've done a couple of Dr. Allen's course or sessions, and they were wonderful. Max has also done them, and he can attest to how great that is too. We also have Central Virginia Swim Services sponsoring our event this evening. Central Virginia Swim Services is Charlottesville's premier private swim lesson company. CVSS offers year-round swim lessons at their indoor location at Fort Union Military Academy. Summer lessons are available at Key West Swim and Tennis Club, Forest Lakes North, and CVSS will come to your own backyard or community pool for mobile lessons. For more information, visit centralvirginiaswim.com. And tonight's event is being captured and sponsored by Web Sludge Photography, an event and portrait and wedding photographer located in Charlottesville, Virginia, and open to travel throughout the United States. For Webb's photos of today's podcast, be sure to check out hooswhere.co.com or our Instagram page at hooswherepod. You can see more of his work at www.websledge.com. That's WEBBSLEDGE.com or on Instagram at websledgephoto. Last but not least, we'd like to thank our sponsor, UVA Clubs, for helping us make this event possible. And please enjoy a few bites provided by Angelique's Kitchen. They are right around the corner. I believe they're closed now, but we'd like to thank them for offering our bites tonight. And anything else you might want to grab here in Dairy Market. At the end of the show, we will be having a Q&A session. Please feel free to submit any questions you have via the QR code. I believe this first bench table here has some QR codes you can scan. You can submit for any questions to any of the guest hosts or anyone that you'd like to answer. All right, so I would like to go ahead and introduce our special guests tonight. Our first guest is UVA Football Alum, class of 2013 with a bachelor's in sociology, Perry Jones. Our next guest is UVA Football Alum, class of 2012 with a bachelor's in sociology, Austin Pasztor. And your host, UVA Football Alumni, Chase Minifield, class of 2011 with a bachelor's in sociology. And Max Millian, class of 2011 with a bachelor's in psychology.
Testing. Oh yeah. Good. Well, first, let's give it an Alex. This is our first time, doing the hosting. We appreciate you, Alex. Let's give another hand for our sponsors, especially Joshua and Cindy from UVA Club. Thank you guys for helping us continue to keep this going. So, show of hands real quick. How many people have heard an episode or seen an episode of the Hooswhere podcast?
You can be honest.
All right, we got a couple hands. There you go. That's more than where we started. That's good. So, if you go on YouTube, Hooswhere TV, you can search Hooswhere TV on YouTube. You can subscribe, watch all the back videos, and you can listen to current videos we upload, a few times a month. And then also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Hooswhere. Go in there and show support. We got about 167 episodes, all dealing with great UVA alumni. So the goal of us starting this was to make it to where, one, we could acknowledge our alumni and what they're doing, but also allow for current students or just graduating individuals to have a database of alumni that they can use as potential resources for mentors or just getting knowledge of what they're up to and doing. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Let's give a hand for you guys also for coming. Thank you. You didn't have to be here. You can anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Alright, let's get started. Couple things. So there's QR codes on the little stickers, the little V's on your tables. If you do scan those, you will be able to ask questions. So Max will be monitoring questions coming in from the crowd, and we'll take those questions. You can ask them to individuals, you can ask them to the group, whichever you like to do.
All the questions are screened by me, so in case some of y'all got some funny questions, they will not be asked. Will Jonas in the back. Questions are screened by me, so they don't all get asked.
That is a fact. Alright, so let's get started. Perry, so we got Perry Jones, man. Perry Jones, I gotta do this. Superman is in the building. We have Superman in the building today. Perry Jones, man, how you doing? What are you up to these days?
I'm good, man. First, I want to thank you guys for inviting me back. It's good just to come back and always, talk about life, ball with my guys, man. And my wife always, she always joked with me about, like, do y'all talk about anything else? Like, you get with the guys and it's like football, reminisce. And that's what we do. So I'm not going to change. Every time you're going to get another dose of it today. But, I'm a high school head football coach in Richmond, Virginia. I coach at Glen Allen High School. I'm going into my 5th year.
I guess I got to follow Perry's lead and thank my family. My wife's here tonight. Yeah, right. Thanks for coming. I got 2 kids at home, 3 and 1.5, Helen and Bo. And so I'm a data scientist now. I'm nearly done with my degree in Master's of Science and Analytics at Georgia Tech. And so I'm doing that, and I also work for a startup. So I'm gonna keep busy.
Awesome. So how this podcast kind of works is we like to learn where people are doing now, and then we like to take it all the way back. Like, how did you get to UVA? What was your experience like before UVA? Where are you from? Those type of situations. So ask any questions as they come in. Like, don't fret. Any question that's on the table. I've already talked to them. I said, anything you don't want to touch on? They said, everything's good. So I got a free reign. All right. So Perry, tell us about pre-UVA. What was Perry Jones? Who was Perry Jones pre-UVA?
So I'm originally from Chesapeake, Virginia. Went to Oscar Smith High School, which is kind of known for football. I was played with a bunch of guys, 4 stars, 5 stars, all over the place. Colleges would come in, and I would be probably the last person they asked for. So that was I always wore that chip on my shoulder, even to this day. So I just kind of made sure that whenever they come to a game to watch the other guys that they were coming to see, that they were going to leave talking about me. And that, that's just something that I kind of use as motivation and fire to make sure that I was always working harder than the next man. If you you look at me, I'm 5 foot nothing. I was 170 pound middle linebacker in high school. So I had to stand out somehow. So my objective was just to be the hardest work on the field, the guy that gave the most effort, the guy that tried to be the best teammate, just to stand out a little bit. Unfortunately enough, I got recruited to the University of Virginia by Bob Pruitt. I wish I would have got to play for him, but he left before I got here. And ever since I stepped on the campus, I just knew this was the place for me. So don't regret anything. I tried to make it the best I could. I got my degree, finished a pretty decent football career, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Now, did you say middle linebacker?
Yeah.
So P. Jones, middle linebacker. Did you win state?
Yeah, we won state. Went 15-0 my senior year. I actually played with Tim Smith, who was one of my best friends. I actually was just on FaceTime with him before we got here, who I don't know is quite out there yet, but I'm going to just go ahead and spill the beans before he does.
Okay.
He's now a professional coach in the Canadian Football League for the Toronto Argonauts.
Okay, Tim.
I was going somewhere else, but okay.
He's just a guy that since high school. We also went to high school together, and it's just we try to push each other. So good, glad to see he's doing great things, and as well as these other guys who are on the stage. So again, appreciate y'all for inviting me.
Now, Perry has an episode already on our Hooswhere, episode 89, if you go check it out.
Go check it out.
But I listened to it again this morning, and you said the Virginia Tech coach showed up to your high school, pulled you out of class.
Pulled me out of class.
And what did he tell you?
So, if you don't know much about high school recruiting, certain periods of time of the year, coaches come around to the high schools and say, Coach, they have ideas about guys that they want to talk to, or they ask coaches, like, who do you recommend? Virginia Tech came in, and they talked to my coach, like, hey, Coach, can you call Perry Jones out of class? So I came down, like, about to get my first offer. I'm excited. I don't have the animosity towards him then as I do now. But he called me out of class, I'm excited, and he looks at me and say, you have the best film in the state, but you're too small. And that was the end of the conversation. That's how it went, and I was upset. And from that point forth, I hate maroon.
We got a maroon in here. Don't even wear those clothes. Austin, talk to us about pre-UVA. Like, what was Austin Pasztor doing pre-UVA? But let me just say something. When I seen Austin for the first time, I was running on the field for practice, and I looked to my right, I was like, it looked like Mount Olympia over there.
You were only like 16 when you came out here? About 16 from Canada. So they build them differently in Canada.
So, most of the yards I got wasn't because I was just so good, they couldn't see me, so.
We'll come to me, Perry.
Oh yeah, that's
All right, you forget about me real quick. No, that's okay.
So Austin, talk to us. What was it like? Who was Austin? What were you doing before you came to UVA?
Well, I'm so glad Perry said that he played middle linebacker, because in 10th grade I also played middle linebacker. You can imagine, I was playing football in Canada, right? So that's a hockey country, so they kind of let everything go. I played quarterback a little bit too, so you can imagine the kind of team I was on. But I had the dream that I wanted to play D1 football, so I was trying to work that out. I had started my senior year of high school in Ontario, Canada, and that summer I went down. I played in this quote-unquote all-star team, and we scrimmaged against Fort Union Military Academy, which is just a few miles from here. And I was playing defensive end at the time, and I had a pretty good game. And so the coach called me and he said, "Hey, we're gonna bring you up here, move you to tackle. You're gonna get a scholarship." So I dropped out of school. I'm an official Ontario dropout. And then I went to Fort Union, and sure enough, UVA ended offering me. And just meeting with Coach Groh and being around grounds, I knew right away that's the place I wanted to go. So committed a few days later, and there I was.
That's it.
Yeah.
So did you not want to play hockey?
Oh, I did play hockey. Like any good Canadian boy, the first sport I ever played was hockey. I was a goalie from like 3 years old.
All-American goalie.
The Nets bigger than you think. I don't know why everyone's so
You also gotta be flexible too. You can do splits. Every goalie that I see can do splits.
Those are professional goalies.
I was asking you to do it here if you can do it.
I can do it headstands.
That's
No, yeah, so I played goalie all the way up through 9th grade. And at that point, basically I was growing out of my equipment, and goalie equipment is very expensive. And, I just decided to play basketball instead. And so I played basketball, football in high school, did a little track. Well, not track, field, honestly. Throwing shot, putting discs and stuff. But, yeah.
Alright, cool. Perry, so did you always want to go, like when you were getting this doubt from other people from colleges and things of that nature, did your dreams ever deter as far as playing college football? Is that what you wanted to always do?
My dreams never wavered. Like, I always had, like, just this, even from when I was young, I've always been self-motivated. No's never really bothered me because I knew, like, what I was capable of. I knew if I worked harder than everybody, at some point somebody was going to notice it and give me an opportunity. So again, as my teammates in high school are getting offers from everywhere, from South Carolina, UNC, Florida, they're just coming in. I never showed envy, never showed jealousy. I rooted those guys on because I knew that was just, that was just going to make me better. So I just kept plugging along, took a step day by day, kept working. Everybody going home on Fridays, getting ready to go to the movies. I'm on the field by myself, and that sacrifice. I'm just thankful that I had it within me at such an early age, because again, that's the reason I'm here with you guys right now, and I try to instill it in my players. Because again, a lot of those guys, they don't have all the physical tools. Some of those guys, all they may have is their ambition. And I see it, and I want to feed it. And again, most of these guys, probably none of my guys are going to go play, have a 10, 12 year career in the NFL.
It's motivation for his guys.
Yeah. So y'all gotta watch it. Let them know. This is your story here. And I'll tell it to them face. If that's something that's your goal, and me telling you that is yes, you're not gonna make it. Kudos to you. But what I'm trying to, the emphasis I'm trying to make here is my goal is to make sure that my players are valuable assets to society. Football is, I can take the lead. I don't need to coach anymore. But I know that my purpose now is to pour into my players. So whatever I need to do to make sure I'm doing that at the highest level, exposing them to different areas, that's what I try to do every day.
So, first of all, you're a better man than me, because if I was best man on the team and somebody else is getting offers, I'm going to have a conversation with him, for sure. But essentially, who's kind of your mentor? Who was you looking up to? Who gave you that mindset early to outwork and to, not envy the next man, but continue to work on whatever your plan is, whatever your skill is?
It was me. It was me. My first sport that I ever played, I wrestled first. My older brother was a wrestler in middle school. I think he was in the 6th grade at the time. And I just went to one of their Saturday practices, and I was probably in the 3rd grade at the time. And the coach was like, "Hey, you wanna practice with us?" And I'm like, "Okay." Went out there, and I became a really good wrestler. And that's why I encourage my guys now to wrestle, because I know yes, football is difficult, but wrestling is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. Because it's literally you and another man. That's it. You can't rely on 10 other guys. So that has to come from within. And I learned a lot through wrestling. And again, I just took that with me in every aspect of my life.
Awesome. Before we move on from Perry, why did you choose UVA? Be honest. And what other options were out there for you?
So my first college scholarship came from Boston College. They came in, gave me a scholarship offer. And again, this is my junior year. Boston College came in first, and UVA came in second. And just speaking to Coach Pruitt, he was I don't know if you guys remember him. I know y'all was probably there with him for a little bit. He was He's a funny guy, man. He captivated my heart, and he made me want to come here. On top of that, it's close to home. You know, I don't come from very much money. I wanted to come to a place where I knew my parents would be able to get to. And I knew, as I learned more about the school, I knew it was academically just a great school. You know, couldn't beat it. So when I added all those things together, Memorial Day of my junior year, I committed to Coach Grove. I actually just had left my cell phone at my godmother's house, so and I knew I had got the offer, and I committed the day after I got the offer. And I was like, "Where's my phone? I gotta call Coach Grove. Gotta call him." I called him. His wife picked up. And she gave him the phone, and I committed, and you know, from that point forward, I knew like this is where I wanted to be.
Awesome. Shout out to Coach Grove. So Austin, what did you see when you were younger or when you were coming up that made you say, "I want to play football"? Was it just like looking in the mirror and was like, "That's the type of shit"? That's what we played opposite tackle.
Yeah. I had an uncle who played football, and he was really instrumental in getting me to play football. He was, you know, he would come over to the house and be like, "Austin, like, you gotta play. You're a massive." So I started playing probably like 4th or 5th grade, and I just fell in love with it. One of my favorite things at that age playing football was when it was just raining and raining. You just had mud pits all over the field, and we wouldn't bother running plays or anything. We would just hit each other in the mud pit. And it's like, I don't know, it's the most fun thing you can do, really. That's probably the part I miss about football the most still, is just getting to, like, I don't know, very close to wrestling, I guess, but you know, just shoving someone else around in the mud. You know.
To be fair, when you're Austin size, that's fun. When you're the normal size like us, it's not fun for us. So I just want to clear that up, because we did that and it wasn't fun for me.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see that.
So Austin, what made you choose UVA? What other options did you have?
So initially, most of the offers that I got were from schools that were closer to home. You know, I think schools like Perry alluded to, like normally players want to be relatively close to home. So you know, had like Buffalo, Western Michigan, schools like that. And then UVA came in the picture. This is probably November or December of my senior year, and you know, I took the visit, and I was really sure I wanted to go. I decided to talk with my parents. And shortly thereafter, Miami offered me, and so you gotta remember, these official visits are a lot of fun. You go for the weekend, all expenses paid. The players take you out, have a good time, show you the school, show you people. So I'm at a military school, so I'm good at UVA, but I'll probably only go on this trip. And I called my dad, told him that, and he was like, probably a good idea. So my brother was a really good hockey player, and he had a similar situation happen to him actually, and he was being recruited by a couple teams. He wasn't sure where he was going to go, and the first team that had said, you know, that we got a spot for you, he was kind of like, well, I'm going to see what my options are, and then it turned out that first team was like, well, if you're not that interested in us, then we're not that interested in you, and he lost that opportunity. So from that lesson, my dad was like, you're not going to Miami, you're going to UVA. And I was like, well, but I'm in a military school, and I can go to Miami for a weekend. And so I didn't go, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm super happy with UVA.
Awesome.
I think we were 3 for 4 though when we played Miami while you were here, right?
Definitely.
For sure, and actually the year that I was in high school was the year that we went down there and beat them 48-0 in the Orange Bowl. So it wasn't like
Shut the Orange Bowl down.
exactly. Yes. You guys were there. Yeah. You guys were there. So yeah. So like football wise, you know, like obviously Miami has a very good reputation, but at that point I was like, well, I'm still going to the better football school. So.
Max got a couple questions.
If y'all don't get asked because I screamed it, we'll tell us. My question. All right. What advice would you give someone whose football career has ended, and how do you get over the hurdle of chasing the passion?
That's from Perry,
What's
right?
that for?
That's it. I mean, well, I mean, you was a couple years in the league, so that might be for you.
Yeah, no, that's a big game.
Okay.
First of all, let them know where you played and how long you played.
Okay, well, I played 8 seasons in the NFL. I started in Jacksonville, then went to Cleveland, Atlanta, and finished in Tennessee. Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. It's something that in the football community we talk about a lot. Is like trying to figure out what you're going to do next. And one of the hardest things is when you're in it, you think, if I start preparing for when I'm out, I'm not really giving my all to what I'm doing now. So how much do I really want to devote to preparing for what's next? And that was the hardest thing I had to deal with. A good friend of mine and these guys, Cam Johnson, he was playing in Cleveland at the time, and he was like, dude, they're offering, you could go get your MBA, NFL's paying for it, we should do it, we'll be ready to roll as soon as we're done. And I've always been interested in business. When I went to UVA, I told myself that's what I was going to study. It didn't turn out that way, but so I was like, all right, here's my chance. I'll get my business degree, and do it during the off seasons when I have time. And so that's what I did. So started in my I think it was my 6th season. Started doing the off seasons and then graduated shortly after I retired. But the truth is, and what I found is, it's really hard to figure out who you're going to be after you're a football player. It takes up a lot of your time and energy and focus, and so it's converting that to something else is difficult. The thing I found for me personally was the very last course I took in business school was business applications of machine learning, and from that course I was bit by this bug of computer programming and data science, and I just loved it. And so I started investigating it more. I applied to Georgia Tech, and I started learning how to code. And all of a sudden I realized I could spend my entire day coding. I could spend 6-8 hours just grinding it out. And I was like, wow, I found something that I love as much as I love football. So, I mean, I guess the advice there is, explore as many things as you can. Find something else that you think you love as much as football, and that's the best advice I can give as far as that goes.
Appreciate that, Austin. Perry, got anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, so my perspective is a little bit just different because fortunately, I didn't make it to the NFL. And I said fortunately because I had to get to a point where I had to change my mindset.
Well, when did it happen though? Because a lot of people know Perry Jones, he's highly talented, he's the damn face of the program. You know what I'm saying? When I came in, I thought I was going to be the face of the program. You didn't. I was highly talented coming out of high school. I thought I was the man. And then 2 years later, Perry Jones come in, and the coaches didn't forgot my name. So it's just a little crazy. That's why I know. So what's it like for somebody who's highly talented? Everything when you played said you go to the NFL. So what's that? What was that change like?
I think like a lot of people in my life did me a disservice from a little kid by telling me every day or every time I play, every time I had a game, you're going to the NFL. You're going to the NFL because that's all you believe. That's all you know. That's all you aspire to do. You don't have a backup plan. Which in some cases, some people say, oh, you shouldn't have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. In this case, with football, I don't believe in it anymore. And again, so when I didn't make it, I had a tryout with the Ravens, and this was the year after they won the Super Bowl. They were stacked. A lot of guys on the team at the time. I think Ray Rice is still on the team. And I always make a joke if he would have punched his wife a year earlier, maybe I would have. I kid.
Hey, we don't edit this now.
I kid. But no, all jokes aside, once I didn't make the team, I became really depressed. So that's the first time that I was introduced to like what I consider, from my own perspective, that I was depressed. I sat in the house playing Candy Crush all day, waiting for my phone to ring, and it never rang. And it took, and this is why, you know, I put no one above except God above my wife. Because at some point she didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, she told me what I needed to hear. And at some point she said, "You're not the guy that I fell in love with right now. I don't see the ambition, I don't see the hard work, and just because you don't have football, okay, you don't have football, what's next? What's next?" And it took me a while to try to figure that out. And once I fell in, I always knew I was going to be a football coach. It just happened a lot sooner than I would have liked. But once I was able to get out there, and I'm not sure they're still here, but I have a couple of my former players, which is crazy, and I coach these guys in high school, and they're here, you know, they're finished college, and they're here watching me in this podcast, man, and it's a cool, like, full, you know, 360, man, and, you know, that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about giving what I know to the next generation, giving the things that I learned from not making it to the NFL to these guys, so they know I have to prepare myself for something else. Whether still give everything you have into football, give it all. Don't empty the tank. Empty the tank, and if it doesn't happen, you got to be ready to rebound and do something else.
Shout out to the people that will tell you the truth and want the best for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's extremely important.
Especially give a shout out, you know, April, you know, all Cam, Anisha, my fiance, all three of us, never went to UVA, you know, our better halves. You know, sometimes we thought we were above everybody, but they brought us back down to reality, so they never forget that.
Any more questions?
A couple more. So,
take one more.
Yeah, one more. So we'll go. What's your favorite memory at UVA? Well, we'll start with you, Chase. Go ahead.
My favorite memory at UVA. I don't know. I think I would probably have to say after we beat Florida State and Miami in the same year, and came back, and you know, UVA. Shout out to the UVA football fans. Y'all solid, but let's not act like y'all like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's levels to the UVA fandom and fandoms in college football. But after we won that, and we were maybe number one in the ACC or something like that in the Coastal, and we came back on the bus, and like everybody was lined up on the street down there at 3 a.m. And I was like, okay, this is what it feels like in playing Alabama. And I was feeling like, it was late, but I was like, let me go sit in that corner talking about it. But that was one of the times where I was like, you know, feels like the fans are coming behind and lining up with what the football team is doing, and it looks like we can do something special, and the whole community was just like on top. So that's probably one of my favorite memories.
They were waiting for us back when we got off the bus. Yeah, it was pretty late, and to see the fans, like we got off the plane, got back to the McHugh Center, and fans were out waiting for us when we got back, and I will say that was pretty cool to experience.
That's great, but you can't use that with parents, so go ahead and give us some favorite memory.
I have an individual like favorite moment. I think mine is, and I was talking to. Shout out to my other running back over here, Khalid Shepard. I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, and I was just telling him what I miss most, my most fondest memories is practice. Practice. I love practice. I love being in film session with the other running backs. If y'all see how match is now, that's how he was then. In film, we didn't get nothing done. Whole time, my position coach is in the back of the room going through the film, laughing himself. So, unfortunately, we were still able to be productive, but, we had so much fun in there. It was a lot of laughs. We always joked about how rich Max was.
Key word is joke.
No, it was serious, though. And I told him I was going to tell him, Max, he came to UVA on a helicopter. I don't know if you guys know that. On a helicopter, and jumped on top of the McHugh Center. It was just a lot of fun, man. It's just like those bonds and those, my most fondest memories is just creating those relationships with these guys. And again, today is just a testament to that. If we didn't have those relationships, they wouldn't have called me to say, hey man, we got this going on, would you, mind coming back? So again, I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it. These type of things is something that I need for myself. So yeah, that's what I would my best memories.
Austin? You had some time now, so let me go on.
Well, yeah. I had it all teed up for the North Carolina game my first year, but
That was my first touchdown, wasn't it? I thought that was why it was going to be your favorite memory. But you were there to entertain.
who knows? But Perry brings up such a great point. I mean, when he started talking about that, I started thinking about all the memories, all the silly stuff I did in college, pool parties, etc., and how much fun that was. So that's definitely up there. But I think football-wise, the two things that stick out of my mind are my very first game, which we played against USC, and Scott Stadium was packed and loud at the start of the game. And that was so, like, you know, I'm just a small town kid. I never played more than in front of more than 100 people. So to have like 75,000 fans there, that blew my mind, and the feeling of running the tunnel into that environment was definitely special for me. And then, as I said, the North Carolina game, I always go back to that. I think, and I really got to look this up to make sure I get this right, because I feel like I change my story every time I tell it. But we were playing North Carolina at home, and it went into overtime, and we're on the goal line, and if we score, we win. And they call it power, which is just the best play ever invented, especially if you play guard. And I completely whiffed on my guy, but luckily I was playing beside Eugene Monroe, who just mauled his.
He was pulled down block.
Yeah, it was a down block, so it was a double team, right? It was double team to 3.
Yeah.
So I completely missed, but Gene just like mashed the dude. And I just remember like feeling the running back jump over us into the end zone, crowd's going wild, crowd gets on the field, and just, I don't know, to me that was just, it's almost like if you wanted to have a movie about what it was like to be a college football player, you would want that scene in it. You'd want to be a part of that. And so, yeah, that to me is still my favorite memory. And, you know, sometimes I tell the story as if I was a pulling guard and made a great block. But I'm pretty sure I whiffed. I gotta get the film on that to see what actually happened.
Max, what about you?
I mean, mine, I don't want to take the period, but the locker room, a lot of people understand, during training camp, all of the month of August, when everyone's partying and ready to come back to school, we're in camp. We have practice 3 times a day. Sometimes, 2 times a day. We're usually at the training center from.
All right, so while we're talking about UVA, let's get on let's switch it up a little bit. How was your transition from high school to college academically, and dealing with the rigor of UVA academics?
So when I got to UVA, for some reason, Coach Grove didn't think I needed to be in a transition program. So when we get there, I'm just jumping going from high school straight to college courses, and I'm just like, you're talking to me for 3 hours, and I just had workouts for 2.5, 3 hours. Now I have to listen to you for another 3.5 hours. I can't even keep my eyes open. I just didn't know how to take notes. I didn't know how to study. And after my first semester, I remember my grades like it was yesterday. I had a D, 2 F's, and a C. This was before April, right?
Yes.
Before April. So I got called into the dean's office, got put on academic probation, and they told me, yeah, you do this again, we'll kick you out of school. I said, what? My mama told me I can't come back. So from that point forward, I really buckled down in school. The next semester, I got straight B's, then had to stay for all 3 sessions of summer school the next summer. And got 2 A's and a B during summer school, and again, just I really buckled down and understood I need this. This is not optional. I need this, not only for me but for my family. I need something for my My siblings back home, you know, I was the first one. I'm the second oldest, but I was the first one to graduate college, and my older brother just graduated college this year. So again, I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but I would like to think that, you know, that I gave them an example to say, hey, look, this is the way, you know, and I want to be an example for my kids, my daughters. I got my bachelor's. They have to. That's the minimum they can do. They have their mom got her master's, and got an admin endorsement. So that's really the minimum. So now we want them to get their PhD. You know, we want to set the bar high and make them reach for it even higher. So it was definitely a transition for me. But I got straight and never had that issue again. And got my degree in 3.5 years. So yeah.
That's good stuff, man. Austin, so you said you wanted to do business school. Why did they let you do that?
Well, I don't know what's so much I didn't get let.
I started the same spiel.
Yeah.
To be honest, what they say, football is optional, but so is starting. Practice was optional. Class 6 practice over practice, but starting is also optional too. I think we'll just see what we got.
Yeah, it goes something like that. But I won't pin it on anyone else. I mean, I was fortunate enough to start as a true freshman, and you know, I made the naive mistake at 17 of looking at who are the other offensive linemen at UVA who started as true freshmen. Brandon Albert, Eugene Monroe. I was like, oh, I'm a first round pick. Perfect. And so, so that, you know, I did fine in my first semester, and you know, in the spring semester when I didn't have football and I, you know, got to be a little free, you know, I ended up down the wrong path a little bit. Ended up on academic warning myself, but that was a pretty good wake up call. Like, hey, like you gotta go to class, you gotta do the work, you know. So that's what I did, and you know, I ended up making it through. So yeah, I think I answered your question. Right?
Yeah, that's good. So what did you guys
Come on, were you on academic warning? You don't know what
I never know.
Okay. You might be the only one to make academic warning at least once semester.
Now what I did do, I got into UVA as an engineer, and I was always wondering when we got our little tags. Mine said E and G, and it said like
Arts and science.
Yeah, CLAS. And I was like, why everybody else is saying something different than mine? And I go to talk to my academic advisor, and he says, you're an engineer. I said, hold on, how many more people on the team? What's my class gonna look like? You know what I'm saying? And they said, you're the only person. And I said, all right, well, switch me to the CLAS. So that I ain't gonna be set up out here. So yeah, that was my experience in academics here. Before we move on, what's the other question? Got any other? No more? Alright, man. So let's say outside of football, outside of academics, talk about the culture at UVA and how it was for you. Do you have any regrets of things that you weren't able to do because of football? Or just give us your overall general experience as far as like going to school, being a student outside of academics. Don't everybody pick up your mic at once. Come on now.
I mean, I was just kind of so focused and locked in. So, again, once I kind of got my stuff together, I knew it was football and school. That was pretty much it. You know, every time I didn't really have too much of a social life. The only person that I didn't see that didn't go out as much as me was Chase. Never really saw Chase, so he was focused. But somebody that I did see every time I went out was this one.
Hold on now, relax.
So again, I didn't go out much, so whenever I did, everybody was like, yo, this Perry came out, what? Like, you know, so they hyped me up. But yeah, outside of that, man, I was just kind of focused and locked in on the task at hand. So.
Oh yeah, you can't trust Max. This guy. That was the first year, and I didn't drink. I was fresh out of actually not supposed to be drinking as a freshman.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, I don't drink, Max. Do you? But we was like outcast. Max was like, nah, I don't drink either.
It was true at the time. It was true at the time.
I'm headed to breakfast for Old Hill one day, like one Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and I'm walking past Max, going to Old Hill, and boy, he reeks. You sure you don't drink? But no, that's you can't trust that guy, Max. He'll tell you what you want to hear. What about you, Austin? How was your just like being a student experience at the University of Virginia?
Yeah, I had an awesome time. So I was much more in the Max camp. Max and I were up together all the time. Yeah, I really fell in love with this city, and that's why I moved back here. I live here now. It's such an incredible place to be. I like the small town feel. I like the mountains. I like the corner. I like the downtown mall. I mean, it's such a fun place to be. Going through school here, I mean, it really was sort of the most fun time of my life. So yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, so Coach, we know you went to the NFL, right? I mean, I expect you to go to the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
some people just built for it. You know what I'm saying? So what was your experience like in the NFL? Did you know you were going the whole time? Like when you were here playing, were you like, all right, I'm going to the NFL, or were you preparing for possibly not going to the NFL while you were playing?
Well, I like to think I'm pretty modest. So early on, I was like, well, it might happen for me and it might not. So let's, try and keep a cool head about it. But as I was going, later and later in my career, you start to see players you played with for 2 or 3 years, and then you see how they do in the NFL, and you think, well, I'm relatively equal to him in talent, and
Just saying, I'm better.
Bigger, stronger, faster.
So
I'm just saying, we just look at you and I was like, yeah, he's on.
well, here's the thing though, like you never know, right? So I was undrafted. I signed as a free agent with Minnesota, and they cut me after training camp, and there was no one there to sign me. So I came back here and stayed with my wife. Oh, there she is. And she's a nurse, and so I was sitting on the couch, basically like, oh man, when's someone gonna call? When's someone gonna call?
That's a big couch.
My feet were hanging off. So then finally the call did come, and that's really when that was for a practice squad spot. So I did that for most of my first year, and then luckily enough I was able to start the last 3 games. But that was mostly due to the fact that I was playing for the Jaguars, who had like 2 wins. So they're like, yeah, we'll throw this guy in. Who cares? We're gonna lose anyways. No, I would not say that I thought all the way that I was going to be in the NFL. The one interesting aspect for me was being a Canadian citizen. The CFL has sort of like a quota system where they try to have a certain amount of Canadian players. So if you have Canadian citizenship, you're more highly coveted than an American player because it helps them out. Obviously, if they could take as many American players as they wanted, they'd probably be almost all American. So I was actually drafted 4th overall in the CFL draft. So I kind of always knew if the NFL didn't work out, I could still play football in the CFL. So I think I was definitely focused on you're going to be a professional football player one way or the other. So just try and make that happen.
Okay, so what about you, Perry? I know you was locked in. One of the best players on our team. Did you start preparing for anything after the NFL, or was your mindset just NFL?
I did start to prepare for the CFL. I wanted to give that a shot. And unfortunately, I didn't have a very good agent, which I got told a bunch of false information, which I don't, really understand, because the more money I made, the more money you made. But I just think they were, that at their job. But again, it worked out how it was supposed to. Again, no regrets. But again, it was also during a time in my life where I was not in a good place. Yes, I wanted to make the NFL. And then I was like, well, I'll settle for the CFL, which that's already not a good mindset to have, just trying to achieve something. So You know, I did prepare for a little bit. Went to a couple tryouts. Thought I was going to be there for a little bit. Again, never really worked out. And then when I really got off of that, probably after 2 years, I think I tried. And I was like, you know what? It's time to move on. Man. I've accepted it. I gave it my all. I tried my best. There's nothing more that I feel like I could have done to make it. And once that finally, like that realization finally hit me, I was okay. You know, I was content with what I did. I was happy, and then I moved forward, got into coaching, and you know, now this is my thing. So.
Did you watch NFL games and say, I'm better than this guy? I'm better than that guy?
Absolutely. Again, you know how it is when you check up with the guys in your class. Okay, what did he do this week? Right after the game, all right, what did this guy do? What did he do? And a lot of those guys are outplayed. That's just what it is. I outplay those guys. They may have been in a better program, may have had a better agent. I don't know. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of guys in the NFL, some guys are not that good. They just there for one reason or another. Kudos to them for getting there. I didn't, but when it just comes to just flat out ability, the best guy does not always make it. And I do think I was a product of that. And you know, you two were there, so y'all probably saw some of that. But you know, it was hard for me to watch football for a while. I didn't watch football for like 2 years, like 2 or 3 years. I couldn't. And like I would get this sick pain in my stomach. I felt like I was gonna throw up. It was just really hard. Again, especially watching guys, you know, like I played against you in college and did you dirty, but you out there, you know, doing your thing. And that was kind of hard to see. But again, no regrets. I'm happy with how everything turned out.
2 years, I still don't watch personally. But Austin, how was the undrafted practice squad life? Did you experience anything like being the guy that was making the least amount of money? And like in the NFL, the business is a business. You know, it's different in college where talent rises, right? Like you could be better than someone and they're making $10 million more than you, and they're going to get chances over you. Did you run into any of that from your experiences of trying to work your way up your roster?
Yeah, that's definitely the case, right? Like, so if you're a general manager of a team and you draft a guy, that's on you. You own that player's record now, and so you're going to keep giving that guy chances over some random guy you signed to the practice squad 10 weeks ago that didn't even make any news, right? Like, that's just job security. Like, you want your guys to turn out, and you don't really care how anyone else plays. So yeah, that came into it. I think ultimately you just have to have the mindset.
Coaches that gave me opportunities, and I didn't just sit back and just try to come to practice for 2 hours and that's it. Like I put my all into it. I wanted to pour back into the kids. I wanted to give them, like I said earlier, I wanted to give them things that they could take with them. Just the mistakes that I made or the experiences that I had. So I've always prepared. Like I was the coach that, what you need, coach? You need this? All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because the best head coaches that I coached under, they showed the way before they told you to go that way. So that's kind of my thing. Like before I ask any of my coaches now to do something, I've already done it. I've washed the clothes. I've stayed late. I've taken kids home because their parents are working late. I've done it all. So again, that is my thing, and I've always prepared myself to step into that role. So when I got to Glen Allen High School, I was a defensive coordinator for 2 years. The head coach just kind of stepped down in the spur of the moment, like a month and a half before the season started. And when he did, I wasn't gonna, my immediate thought was I wasn't gonna take it because, I'm already spending a lot of time away from home. I didn't know what my wife was gonna think. I thought she was gonna be against it. So I was like, no, like I'm good. And then the kids start texting me, Coach, you need to apply for the job. You need to apply for the job. So I'm like, okay, let me ask my wife. She was like, absolutely. That matched with the kids wanted me to do it. I applied for the job, got it. And you know, here we are 5 years later. I was 28 when I got the job, so I always knew I was going to be a head coach. I just didn't know it was going to happen that soon. And I'm glad that it did. And again, I'm enjoying it, man. It's something that I really hold dear to my heart, and I'm going to be doing it for a long time.
Do you want to do it at the next level?
I absolutely do. You know, right now I'm really focused on my guys, but coaching at the next level is something that I do aspire to do. So, you know, like I said, I can't just say, oh, I'm done coaching high school, now it's time to go to college. Yes, I'm a high school head football coach, but obviously I have to start mentally preparing myself to, at some point, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, to be able to make that jump. Because I do believe that I'm a good coach. I do believe that my kids are lucky to have me. And if you guys guys that know me the best, I don't talk like that, like me, but I do believe my kids are lucky to have me as their head coach because of the things that I try to implement in them, I try to instill in them, the hard work, the dedication, being good citizens. I'm trying to prepare, society for the next wave of guys. I keep in mind that I am coaching my daughter's future teacher, and he has to be ready to teach my daughter, or he has to be ready to hire my daughter to, at Chick-fil-A, whatever it is, he has to be ready, and I have an obligation and a duty to make sure that he's ready. So again, they can turn around and pass it down to the next generation.
I'm gonna send my future son to play for Perry Jones, and but I'm gonna need 10 or 11 years in the league. I don't. I'm ready to put that high standard on that for sure. So Austin, what does data science look like for you going forward?
So
as a career.
Yeah. So I'm currently working for a startup, and at that company I'm the chief data scientist, and we have there's 4 of us on the team, and so sort of helping them along, getting them squared away, so to speak, and also communicating with the CEO. And
what does the startup do?
Well, we're kind of secretive about that because
my bad.
I just signed an NDA, so I won't say too much about that. But anyways, and then of course the other thing is that I'm nearly finished with my degree at Georgia Tech. After this semester, I only have 1 class left, and so I'm really looking forward to that end. And then we'll see. I mean, this fall, then I'll really be hitting the ground running, looking for a new full-time job, and really what I want to do, as I was saying in my last answer, is data science, machine learning, AI. It's a very broad, big terms that encompass a lot of things. What I'm most interested in is applying it business-wise, as I said, to help companies optimize and come up with strategies that'll, increase profits essentially. Hopefully I can do that this fall.
I got a question.
Yep. About to take questions. Josh got a question.
So,
get a mic to Josh.
I got you. I'll take one of these.
There you go.
Hello?
Oh,
So right now is like a lot of students just got admitted into colleges, obviously prospective student athletes as well. So what is your advice? We spoke about this in the last podcast, but I'd love to hear y'all's advice on keeping, you said both of y'all kept your head down, kept working hard. We got this on transfer portal situation. So what would your advice be to incoming student athletes in this new modern NCAA world that we live in?
I think my advice would be embrace adversity. That's your life's biggest teacher is the hard times, the hard things. We grow when we go through the hard things. We grow when things don't go our way, because it forces us to have to adapt, to have to learn, to have to find new ways to achieve our goals. And you know, the transfer portal thing, sometimes I feel like, yes, there are situations where that might be the best situation for that particular player, but I do feel like there's other situations where if you're a first-year guy and you go to a major D1 college and you're transferring after your first year and nothing really significant has happened to make you transfer, it's just simply because you're not getting enough playing time, that's not it. You're not going to learn, you're going to be running forever. So that's what I would say. Embrace adversity, understand that everything is not going to go your way, and let that adversity and that fire drive you to keep going and to keep doing your best. Because I mean, you got guys who are going to 2 and 3 different colleges. How many of those credits are transferring? Not all of them, and it's hurting them in the long run. And they hop in the portal, and some of guys don't ever make it out, which is unfortunate. So. That would be my advice for, prospective student athletes.
Also, you got anything?
Yeah, it's Perry made some really good points there. I think the way I've been thinking about this is, in our era, it was very difficult to transfer, and the situation that created was where when we were all kind of together, we kind of knew, hey, we're all going to be here together. I played with all these guys at least 3 years, some 4, and when you spend that much time with someone, when you go through that many training camps, you go through that many mat drills, and all the other stuff you have to do, it really creates a bond. As Perry was saying, these guys can call us up and say, "Hey, will you do this?" Of course I will. I don't really think I'm really the type of person that wants to share his opinion with everyone over a microphone. Posted on the internet, but here I am because they asked me to, right? So I think as Perry said, you should be really careful about deciding to transfer out. The grass is always greener, right? Unless there's a real obvious reasons why you should do it, you might end up in the long run being a lot happier deciding to stay where you are. Sure.
What about NIL? You guys? You think that NIL plays a part in that transfer?
Well, yeah, I think that's the whole thing, right? Like and that's such a hard decision to make at 18, 19, right? Like, especially, most people aren't coming from a lot of money, and so they're going to, here's money, like I should follow it. But as I just said, what you're giving up is a bond of friendship with players, probably your education is going to suffer somewhat, as Perry alluded to, but so what's that really worth? And in the long run, I don't know how much these guys are going to pay to transfer, but that's a tough decision. But I think you're probably best to stay with what you're doing.
Stay where you at? You got anything on that money?
Yeah. And again, just back on the NIL piece, again, this is a whole new territory for a lot of these guys. Like, the people at the top don't even really know what's going on. So what do you think the 18, 19-year-old, he don't know what's going on either. So he's just going by what he hears, which a lot of times maybe not accurate information. And I think, it's here. It doesn't seem like it's going to be going anywhere. So again, it's pros and cons to it. But even from my perspective and my position as a head coach, okay, how can I use this for the betterment of my players? All right, let's educate them about it. So just recently, a few weeks ago, I had somebody reach out to me like, "Hey, I'm gonna come talk to your team about NIL." I'm like, they're in high school. They're not thinking like, yes, they're in high school. This is the time to start educating yourself about it, how to use it properly, what not to do. Do your research and figure out what works best for you. Do something that you're interested in, or partner with businesses that you want to potentially work in when you're done playing football. So again, it's pros and cons to everything. Again, it's not going anywhere. So hopefully they can kind of put some guidelines around it to make it a little bit more solidified. But yeah.
All right. Before we close up, I want to just put it out for anybody. Anybody got any questions? Hands. I'll bring the mic to you. No? Alright, bet. Well, can we give a round of applause to Perry and Austin? Nah, that ain't my job. But Perry, can you tell people where they can keep up with you, where they can reach you at?
Yeah, so my Twitter and Instagram, Soup Jones, and I also want you guys to follow my team's page, Glen Allen Football, on Twitter and Instagram. Just come check out some of the good stuff my guys are doing, man. I try to highlight them as much as possible, just to try to get them some exposure. The guys who come to me and say, Coach, I want to make it to college. I'm like, all right. I'm going to try my best to help you get there, but it also comes with holding you a little bit more accountable than I'm doing to everybody else. And sometimes they're not ready for it, but this is what you told me. So now I'm going to hold you to that. So Glen Allen Football, come check them out, see what those guys are doing. They're doing some great stuff. We try to get out in the community. We got videos of working hard in the weight room, try to post their highlights from the season. So I got a bunch of great kids, and I love them a lot. So yeah, if you guys can go check them out, that'd be great too.
Awesome. Austin, where can we keep up with what you are working on and doing?
I guess LinkedIn. It's my first and last name, Austin Pasztor. So I have a Twitter, but I can't remember the last time I tweeted. So
We can find you on LinkedIn.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You can follow the family on his wife's Instagram. That's a very popular follow on that.
Yeah. If you would me follow my wife on social media, that's
Well, that is a wrap for our live Charlottesville Hooswhere podcast. We appreciate everyone for coming out. We look forward to doing this again. And that is a wrap.